I bought and downloaded the game Wizard with a Gun recently, and when I opened up the main menu to start playing, I saw this. It was such a cool and unique detail, a small piece of effort that the developers put in that really amplified the amount of value that I got out of the game. And so I started thinking, how many more things like that are in these games that I'm playing? I started writing down every time I came across a cool little detail in a game like this, and this video is just going to go through a bunch of them, so let's do it. Number one, we've already talked about Wizard with a Gun. Let's just hear it one more time. Gorgeous, fantastic, love it. Wanderstop also has menu playing music, which I love. But also, in this game, you're playing as Alta, who is a fighter who's just struggling to relax. The animations in Wanderstop when you're wielding tools look and sound like you're swinging a sword. Check out this broom animation. Alta literally doesn't know how to do things in a way unlike a fighter. Great characterization and great sound effects to match. In Wheel World, you're racing around on your bike, sometimes pretty chaotically. If you're too reckless though, NPCs will dive out of the way as you drive towards them. Even that barricade can't keep you safe from me. In Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip, you go around causing and solving problems for the townsfolk on your journey to drive up into space. As you drive around though, you'll often accidentally crash into things. And yet, this city never seems to get too smashed up. That's because if you stick around and watch closely, the pieces of the city that you knock over when you're travelling around will get back up and put themselves back into place. That's nifty. In Cryptmaster, in order to save, you need to desecrate these altars you come across. But you can choose what you do to these altars though. It's not just contextual dialogue that the different actions have, however. Some actions also have these funny contextual sound effects.
Yes, give it a good soaking.
In the name of all that is pure and peaceful, I'll rip your bones!
In Rift of the NecroDancer, not only do enemies move to the beat, but everything does. The enemies groove, the characters pulse, even the UI jams its funky little heart out to the beat. I can make a full video out of all the cool things in UFO 50, but I'll just talk about the continue system in Rakshasa. Old school games often have this basic continue system, which is fine, but a little uninspired, so Rakshasa makes you earn your continues. When you die, you can revive yourself and continue by collecting these coins, but as you die more, you need to collect more and more of these coins while avoiding more and more enemies. If you're good enough, you could theoretically continue forever, but you're probably not going to. It's functionally still a set continue system where you have, 4, 5 maybe lives, but it adds such a level of player control, it makes it really stand out. It's fantastic. In Dawnfolk, you're building these towns in a grid, but the menus are also in a grid-based system, and you can even grow your menu by spending points that you earn through the gameplay. It's a really interesting way to tie menus and progression back into the core game loop, and have it feel like you're still playing the game even when you're just navigating through the menus. In Dunecrawl, you're riding around on a lot of different bugs. These mounts, the Steed, have a limited amount of health before you get flung from them, but look, once they're out of health they go into this scared mode, which you need to get them a berry to bring them back out from. The poor guy's scared. It's so much cuter than being dead or knocked out. I love it. Olaf the Boozer is a fun blend between the Hangover and a Sokoban style puzzler game. This game plays with memory and space so much, but I love this little moment when you're looking for a carpenter. You solve the puzzle moving around the entire shop to narratively simulate the experience of searching for the carpenter, and then when you get to the end of the puzzle you finally find him. What a cute way of unifying the gameplay into the narrative. In my opinion, one of the best things about video games is the way that they blend together so many different types of creativity into a single cohesive package. It's like a magic trick, right, where assembling code and art and music and animation, games come to life. All these small design tricks I'm talking about help build a cohesive overall package that makes these games so much fun. Alright, let's count off some more. In Nubby's Number Factory, the character who introduces himself to you as Tony is actually Ethan Mogdog Anderson, who's the creator of the game. This detail's mainly an excuse to show off the sick old web aesthetic of this game, and hey, Ethan's website has the same vibe. That's passion. Sorry We're Closed begins with protagonist Michelle having a vision of a hideous demon, but you can just close your eyes and pretend to be asleep. If you do, you hear... I absolutely love this little use of footstep sounds here. It's such a simple and minor thing, but adds so much to the terror of the scene. It's great. This UI framing in Pipistrello and the Cursed Yoyo really caught my eye. During cutscenes, and for things like pop-ups, you see this cool scrolling background above and below the UI. It really gives it a cohesive, old emulated game feel. Ina Dream Barbecue uses a similar scrolling background, but here it's used to animate this wizard character whose background of stars and moons on their clothes is masked by the clothes themselves, and then animated differently at a different frame rate. It's such a strange effect, but it gives them a real otherworldly vibe. This game is unhinged though, there's so many weird and different character animations and animation styles for the characters. It's very bizarre but very entertaining. I would really recommend checking it out. Which Way Up is a very fun party game themed around space and gravity. I love games like this, but I want to explore them more single player, and that's why it's so fun that Which Way Up has built out this single player narrative mode. I love these types of single player modes, going back to the earlier Smash Bros games or Street Fighter, how those used to do it. Something neat here is the way that each level is comprised of a series of timed challenges, and you play through multiple of them without breaking for different levels. The flow from challenge to challenge is so natural and so unified, it gives them such a sense of place and progression, which often you miss in single player experiences in games like this. I love this character creation in Rue Valley. You assign points to your stats, but the more you assign to a stat, the more negative traits you get. Now, from playing the game, I don't think these are actually that negative, but by framing them as negative, it really made me consider the choice a bit more actively on this character creation, which is great. What a cool trick to make your player think about things a bit more. In Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip... Wait, didn't we already do this one? Well, it's so full of life and detail that I had to put it in here again. Anyway, in Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip, to resummon your car, you hit this parking sign, but they did something very simple and made it move around. It turns what could be a very simple UI interaction into a small mini-game of catching and thwacking the sign on your journey. Blood Typers has you exploring horror scenarios by typing, which is already so delightful. But as you play through, you'll come across these computer terminals which you need to hack into by typing. But just look how scared your character is while you're doing this, frantically checking over their shoulder in case anyone's sneaking up on them. I love that. Sephiria is a dungeon crawler, where you're adventuring down through caves as a cute bunny with a sword, but something I liked was this small moment near the start where you repair your house. How fun to reuse your combat controls in order to absolutely repair, the shit out of your house. It's great. Thank goodness You're Here is a game made out of fun details, so I won't spoil too many of them here, but what I will do is show a few of my favourite little side signs that I found. Lost cat, also lost one child. Tony's parked vans, never caught moving. Pissing on ludonarrative. License to serve minors from Larry the landlord. And kids deal, just eat some of your mums. I love noticing details like this in games. Lots of them are such small ideas, but they add so much. As a game dev, I find it really inspiring. I love looking at these small details and seeing how I could do things like this to add such joy and vibrancy into my games. Anyway, let's keep counting them off, 10 more to go. I've never really played a roguelike runner like Heste before, but boy did I enjoy the demo. They nailed the feeling of doing well, you really feel the music pumping, but they also really nailed the bad feeling of doing poorly. If you're too slow, the world around you starts to crack and you can hear the music start to warp and hit off notes with greater frequency. For a game with such a small amount of UI, it really conveys a lot with just the background music here, which is really nice. The King is Watching is a gorgeous little city survival game with this really nifty watching mechanic to activate your city. What I was watching, however, was this cute little goblin guy who hangs out outside the play area. He hunts, he fishes, he scratches his little butt, and he is generally adorable while I rebuild my city after a goblin attack. Schedule 1 has been blowing up on Steam lately. It's great to see some more Sydney games go so strong. This game has a fun, goofy vibe, and I loved the way the character creator had dedicated island resting position sliders. It lets you make your character anything from tweaking out constantly to always high and sleepy, which I guess is the drug character scale. Babushka's Glitch Dungeon has this glitchy aesthetic which it plays with very well. It added a bit of variety to the places you were visiting multiple times to keep them feeling a little bit more fresh, which was nice. Is This Game Trying to Kill Me? Is a really fun escape room with a cute techno horror theme. I really like the hint system here. There are contextual hints you can choose to reveal, sometimes multiple at once, but you have to choose each time you want a hint. Plus, they're all images, so it doesn't just explicitly tell you what to do, although the hints are very clear if you've looked at the right thing. It's a great way to ensure players can help unstick themselves or pay attention to a specific part of the world if they're not focusing on the right area. I love the way random events were done in Welcome to Elderfield. When you come across a random event, you see a visible dice roll, which lets you know if an event will be positive, neutral, or negative. This isn't a dice-based game at all, but this short little animation quickly injects a bit of tension and ties perfectly into the vibe of the game. Unbeatable is another fantastic rhythm game. I always feel like rhythm games knock it out of the park in terms of little gameplay details, but I'm going to focus on a cutscene one here. The way these characters often interrupt each other with their text boxes, either to disagree or agree with each other, it gives them such an alive vibe. Small detail, but very cool. Grime has a fantastically weighty combat system, but I've always struggled with games like this that have a really prominent dodge mechanic with invincibility frames. It seems like it's hard to telegraph exactly how long your invincibility frames are. A common solution is the classic invincibility flashing or something non-diegetic like that, but Grime ties the invincibility state in very nicely to the mechanics, showing your body unform and then reform as you enter and leave invincibility. It's a great way of having the game and art design work together to support mechanical clarity. In Humbug Tales, you're raising and shepherding your ants to explore the world. The demo was really fun, if a bit buggy, pun intended. Having said that, one touch of polish I loved was, as I came back to my PC I saw this. Idle animations like this to help you bond with your herd, so adorable. One of the best game demos I played recently was Mindwave. Such an incredible feeling game, with a gorgeous art style too. I really appreciated their use of fairly simple text effects to convey emotion, some of the best I'd seen. When you're waiting in line, the text starts to blur until somebody gets your attention and you sharply cut back in. Then later, your character auto-skips through text as you get bored of reading license agreements. It's very relatable, it's very well done, I loved it. I hope you found these details fun and inspiring. As I said, I do love the way that games can be more than the sum of their parts, and part of that is by adding little bits of detail like this to really connect with the player. Hopefully you saw some great details that are inspiring for you. You can maybe put versions of them in your own games. And if you've noticed any other great details in the games I've mentioned, or in other games you've played lately, let us know in the comments and we'll check them out.